students, we're privileged tonight to be able to see excerpts from a film in the making and some comments on shooting a movie in a small town by the distinguished producer, Mr. Bernard Mott.
Thank you.
From Mott himself.
Hi, gang. If I can tell you one thing about shooting in a small town, it's this. Because it's a small town, everybody, and I mean everybody, knows what's going on, except you. You are the only ignoramus in town. Try to remember that. Yeah. The second thing is, you're right. Lights, please.
Now, this town has a population of 2,000 souls. About half of the souls are white and half are brown. Or is it red?
When I was a little girl, I remember waking up. There was rain on the window. My grandmother told me it was Mother Nature crying for the hardships of our people. I cried. She told me, too, that rain was Mother Nature's tears of joy for the birth of our Indian nation. I am the spirit of my grandmother. What did your grandmother tell you?
Something is happening in this town. The first thing in a film is to establish the locale and all the important players in your story. After all, a town is its people. Initially, you may find it hard to believe that right now, this is one of the most important men in town, George Brown. The town's energetic and realistic mayor is John Baker. He is also president of Right Way Realty and other companies.
John, I had some kooky movie producer come around yesterday and tell me that you were the richest man in town, are you?
This is 18-year-old Lauren Tiljo, a student. This is 20-year-old Jerry Clancy, a student. The boss of this town's biggest industry is George Richards. Every morning, he and his wife like to go and see how the new house they're building is shaping up. This is Ted Lawley, an Indian chief, a corporation director, and a personnel manager. You know, I've been told that Indians and whites don't mix much in this town. But then, you know how people talk.
Jeez, what a mess. Boy, there's sure a lot of drunks in here last night.
Well, you know, a white man can't hold his liquor.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, class.
This is Bob Williams, Minister of Lands and Forests. Oh, yes, and water resources. An enterprising and outspoken good citizen is Jim Menger.
They tell me that this guy walks in there and gets $54,000 to buy a logging truck, and the day before he's got nothing. I asked you, what's happening?
What's happening in this town is the best thing that ever happened. The richest man in town. Jesus, people have to be something else.
Well, Ted, it looks like it's really happening.
Hey, what's happening?
It's going to happen. You bet your life it's going to happen.
Never happened.
It's a mistake. It's happening already.
What's happening?
That's the title. What's Happening in Burns Lake. Once upon a time, there had been relative prosperity. But it never seemed to last. Winters were hard. The economy struggled along in a bit of farming. And here and there a small ranch and a few small sawmills. Trees had always been there. They had lots of them. But mostly they just stood still. So did most of the native population. 75% on welfare. Man's pride was very low. Almost forgotten.
What's wrong with around here?
We seem to do all right.
Yeah, I know all that, but I want to get ahead.
Man, you gotta be crazy. That's just for Indians. You're gonna feel like an idiot sitting up there with 50 middle-class Indians.
Look, man, what the hell is wrong with that? I dropped out. They didn't even get started. That makes us equal, doesn't it?
If they end up smarter than you, you won't think you're so equal.
Get ahead? Why, that's white man's talk.
That's anybody's talk.
There's something you should know about this town. This is a good town. Good, solid, honest people. And don't let anybody tell you different. Especially some nutty movie producer.
It's just not the right way, I tell you.
You don't elevate people by giving them free money.
It's not free, Don. We're all paying for it.
Here comes the Indian's best friend.
You taking an Indian to lunch today, John?
If this keeps up, they'll drive us right out of town.
I'll tell you what will drive us out of town if they don't find a way to make a buck.
What I want to know is how do you get to be an Indian around here?
Hey, that Gandy was a cool Indian.
But never mind the Gandy. Look at this incredible fellow.
Hey, George.
The new one?
That's Mike McKinley, hired by the natives as the chief administrator of the social plans, born and brought up in Burns Lake. He has bags of executive experience with big companies behind him. That's Bob Ward, master in engineering, postgraduate in business management. They hired him as chief administrator of the economic program.
I told you we hire nothing but the best. Honest Indian.
Well, that's going to make a big difference.
George, Lawrence is still here to see you.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Okay, that's right, too. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
right.
we'll be in the boat with you.
Okay, right. Hi, Lawrence. You're here about your deal, eh?
Well, I'm well pleased with this job.
It looks like the whole thing is really happening. Mechanical installation is almost complete, except for the installation of the last chip and saw. Wood supply is complete for startup. Training program is in full swing. The main thing is, men are working, and it looks like the Burns Lake project is really moving.
John, how are the applications coming?
I hear that some doesn't like to go down to the Indian office to sign up.
And ask an Indian for a job. That's the kind of nonsense I don't want to hear about. We're running a business here. And damn it, we're going to run it as a business.
Well, you know, the governments won't listen.
You know I'm no NDPer, but they will listen. I can phone Williams or Levy and get an appointment tomorrow morning.
They listen to the Indians.
You know what happened last fall. It was nearly a riot.
Oh, come on. It was just a Saturday night brawl.
Anyway, take this guy Brown.
Well, Lawrence, we've made a decision.
You take him. Who does this guy think he is, anyways?
Indians just don't know how to handle that kind of money.
Your application for $54,000. That's a lot of money, isn't it, Lawrence?
I don't know. They were smart enough to go and get it.
We've had to refuse your loan.
Oh, why? You give it to Billy and Herb.
Lawrence, we had to develop a new policy. Many people just haven't had enough management experience. And we can help.
Come on, don't look so gloomy. We've got better plans, Lawrence, if you'd listen.
Okay. We will buy the truck. It will be owned by the corporation, and you will drive for us. You will deposit with us a part of your take, and then in 2 years, we will lend you the amount that's outstanding. The truck will then be yours. What do you say, Lawrence? Okay?
Well, yeah, sure. That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be just great. When can I get started?
This is all I ask. Wait and see and help. This could be the best thing that ever happened to Burns Lake. Let's all give it a try.
But this guy Brown is really running things. If he had a lot of power, he can really abuse it.
I don't know how you can say that, Paul. Somebody told me today I was king of Burns Lake, and I've never abused it.
Ministers of the Crown are, of course, always polite. This is the Environment and Land Use Committee. Every cabinet minister directly concerned with resource and environmental matters is a member. This is a coordinating body unique to British Columbia, bringing together all the elements of environmental concern around a single table. The committee's decisions are carried forward by its own full-time working staff. The Secretariat, headed by Alistair Crerar.
Burns Lake is an experiment. We may be making history there. We take credit for seeing its potential, funding by way of loan, and supporting the project. However, every minister and others not on this committee, like Bill King in the Labor Department, and Norm Levy of Human Resources, and their ministries are very available and very much involved in helping this project succeed.
Well, it was an opportunity we didn't want to miss. It's a first in North America. I don't think there's any doubt about that. There was some hard bargaining. They did not get all that they wanted. But the social programming and the planning, that was superb. It was a completely integrated plan for the community. From our point of view, in terms of welfare payments, one of the aims was to go from welfare to employment for the Indian people, so that they could become employed, they could become trained, and then make a contribution to the total community. After all, the impact of the payroll in the community of Burns Lake is going to be very significant, not only by Indians, but also by non-Indians. It would have been plain gutless and plain stupid to ignore this project of the Indian people in Burns Lake.
Resources Minister, Mr. Bob Williams.
Well, the opportunities were there. The forests were there, the people were there, and the opportunities hadn't been exploited in the best sense of the word. And it was a fortuitous combination of circumstances. We were in the process of building a civil service up from a rusty machine that we inherited as a new government. George Brown had come home from the road, a guy that had learned a lot while he'd been away from his home base and had a hell of a lot to offer. He was a hustler with ideas, and we were ready to listen. It was a unique opportunity of bringing together a new civil service, a new government, of forgotten people that never had a chance in terms of taking part in development in their own communities, and companies that had a certain amount of moxie. What we've come up with is unique for British Columbia, and I think a bit of a guide in terms of where we go from here elsewhere.
The Board of Directors of the Burns Lake Native Development Corporation. Abel Peters. Peter John. Durbin Skin. Vince Morris, with Administrator Mike McKinley. Ted Lawley, with Business Manager Bob Ward.
The housing program will place on stream 25 houses by July this year for immediate occupancy. The drug and alcohol education and counseling program will begin operation by September of this year. The initial objectives of the child care program will be to provide care for 25 children, aged 3 to 5. The provincial government has allotted us a 3/4 acre lot, and we have plans for our own building.
Durbin, how about the logging school?
Well, probably our biggest success so far are the logging programs, and we're going to have graduate some 89 students.
The first day I hated it. It must be like this in the army. The camp is cold and lonely. White men shouting at you.
Come on now, hurry up.
But I like being in the woods, and we're starting to learn something. We began on skidding and bucking. Skidders and buckers in this country can make more than $50 a day. The instructors seem to really care, and they sure know their stuff. I began to feel better. Falling your first tree is a kick. Makes you feel like a giant, like you really did something. I've never worked this close to a white man before. This guy's okay. Operating loaders is one of the most skilled jobs. When a loaded truck pulls out, you get the feeling, hey, we really did it, man. It was hard work, but I was beginning to like it. After a few days, things were different. Friendly, the sun shone. Having girls around was fun too. They worked as hard as we did. The bosses came around and took an interest in us and asked how we were doing. At night we had lectures on logging and safety.
You all know that ours is a very dangerous job. You've all had the safety course, and logging has a very fine safety record. Now whatever you do, don't go out and spoil it. Remember what you have learned, because tomorrow, sometime, we are going to fake an accident in order to give you an idea of how to act in case of a real emergency.
Take it easy now, fellas. If you
Watch
hear
this
them and
fellow's
don't
leg.
move this fellow
Really
till this
jam
guy
in
gets
here.
here.
Let's get that shoe off. It'll be a little easier to get it out. Let's get him on the
All right.
stretcher. Take it easy, fellas. Close that wound, fellas. Gentle as you can.
I know now this is no
Bump him
kids
now.
game.
Watch it.
It's for pros, men,
Have you out of here in no time.
who knows their job. I wasn't sure, but I know now I want to be a logger. I made some good buddies. I got to know white men better, and I started to know some of my own people better.
We have had so far
over 100 students at upgrading school. Already 30 have graduated and gone to upper level. Attendance has been 92%, far, far better than the national average.
One moment, class. I'd like to introduce you to a new student, Jerry Clancy. Before we start, I would like to make one announcement. Mrs. Richards will be starting typing classes tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Gee, maybe Randy is right. Is this what it feels like to be in a minority?
What is this?
To find the rise, it's the pitch times the span. You take quarter of 20 feet and they'll give you 5 feet for your rise.
You all remember John Tom, who's gone on for further training. Well, we just received a very nice letter from him, and I'm going to ask Chuck to read it to you. Chuck?
I know it's hard, but we have to keep trying. We would like to encourage you to keep up the good work. Upgrading to me is like the road you drive on every day. There are some rough spots on the road we have to slow down for. But we still get to the place we want to be. I was wishing it would last.
Darkness and clouds surround them. Try.
There were times when I felt like a failure, but I just kept on trying, and I got to where I want to be now. So please don't give up and just try your utmost. Thanks to the wonderful instructors we have here. John Tom.
If you're lucky enough to know any, you know that Indians are a shy, sweet, and modest people. It took Clancy no time at all to realize that he was among friends. Durbin Skin and his brother Reuben are prominent members of a family that is a legend in Burns Lake. What makes people friends? To visit, eat together, drink together, listen to music, dance, and laugh together. The Skin family is well known, you could easily say notorious, for the love of eating, drinking, music, dancing, and laughing, even fighting together. The stories people told me about the Skins were even more outrageous than the stories I told them about making movies. A fiercely proud, independent bunch, they live by themselves, around 40 of them, on the other side of Francois Lake. They have a lack of inhibition and an energy to envy. They work hard, they play hard, and if you don't behave, you will end up under the pump.
Order, please. Gentlemen, order.
Well, that's about it, gentlemen. There are just two other things that I would like to mention. The first is that I've heard that we own the mill. Actually, we only have an 8% participation. Spread over our 1,600 people, this amounts to 1/2 of 1/100th of 1% per person. Lastly, I'd like to ease your mind about taxpayers' dollars. No money is actually being given away. For every dollar the provincial government puts into this project, they should get about $8 back in the form of taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today George Brown.
Hi. My grandfather used to say, you had to believe in something. So I believe I'll have another drink. Believing too hard, both ways, has meant a lot of problems for my people. Most of you gentlemen know me pretty well. I've been broke, I've been on welfare, and I've been in jail. I know you people pretty well too. Along the road, I've learned that if you could see inside of men's hearts, they would look different. I truly believe one thing, that inside, in his heart, the white man really wants to help the Indian man. And I truly believe in Burns Lake, the opportunity has come for both of us. This is our chance. If you could see inside of me, see inside of my people, where their hearts are. If you knew how much we need this project to work, how much we need it, and how long we've waited, just how much. I believe this. You'd all, every man of you, help make it happen. Thank you.
They say my great-grandmother is 106. For sure, she's over 100. She's seen it all. There are so many things I'd like to ask her, but she can't speak English and I can't speak Indian. But we understand each other.
In the spring, Grandmother and I were in the forest. She stopped to find the new baby trees. One baby tree was growing crooked. Grandmother said that the mother tree had grown too big and kept the sun from the baby tree. Grandmother said that this was a selfish mother. A child has to reach for the sun.
Okay, men, we're on a heavy-duty equipment course. We'll be taking equipment apart and putting it back together so you'll learn all about it.
What's really happening in Burns Lake is a very human, social experiment. Without experiment, testing out new ideas, there's little progress.
Hole in it, and you're 40 miles in the bush. What can you do with it?
Here's some spruce gum.
Yeah.
Will it work? If, as Benjamin Disraeli said, the secret of success is constancy of purpose, then for the determined native people, the cooperative community, and an understanding government, success is just down the road. The real backbone of success is probably tenacity, persistence, a willingness to stick at it, a compliment not too often attributed to Indians. But they have buckled down with a determination to give pause to the most fevered redneck. They're doing this on their own, and they don't intend to fail. But will it work? For the community, the rewards can be great. For the Indians, they can be crucial. Self-sufficiency, a base to achieve their ultimate goal, beholden to no man. By rodeo time, you could say the prospects were riding high, even bullish.
Very high.
I think you guys really pull it off. Wow. Well, I can't let the world pass my people and wait for the land claim.
I hear you had Herb and Lawrence driving for you for a while this spring. Made out good, eh?
Yeah, they've done real well for me. I was pleased with their work.
Fantastic.
It's really moving now. People are starting to get caught up. No, we're sure going to prove a lot of things to the people here. The Indian problem isn't a racial problem, it's economics. Now, when an Indian and a white man start doing business, we start having lunches together. But when business really gets good, then we probably have dinner together. All right, what are you doing on Thursday night? Well, I don't know.
Well, film students, like most good stories, this is a continuing one. If your film is a hit at the box office, you might get to do a sequel and go to the premiere and enjoying the gloriously exquisite pleasure of seeing your name in lights.
Joe and George Richards.
I hope this film will encourage people to try this type of project.
Hey, Lauren, are you going to be an actor now?
No, I think I'll stick to logging.
Jerry Clancy, how's school?
Oh, pretty good. We had about 50 people graduate today.
And here's the mayor of Burns Lake and Mrs. Baker.
Good evening. It's true. I am the king of Burns Lake.
Mr. Bob Williams.
I think it's been a hell of a good performance all around by everybody.
Mr. Norm Levy.
It was about pride and effort, and I think that that's what really matters.
Mike McKinley, General Manager of CDA.
You start? The sky's the limit.
Thank you.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, George Brown.
All you have to do is try.
Try, try.